Hi! It's been a while. Over the past couple years, I've been improving my sewing skills. That's a word. I've been making a lot of items, mostly clothes, because it's easier to sew clothes. I've especially been improving my sewing skills following the knowledge that time was running out for Unus Annus. And Unus Annus, if you don't know, was a channel that was quite important to me. And I have a card, I think it's going to be up here, that would tell you more about it. So before the channel ended, because I personally couldn't afford to get the official merch, I decided to take it upon myself to make my own. And I started with this dress, which fits a bit loosely, but I mean, like, it looks nice. And a thing I did with this dress as well was I embroidered the date of the channel's death, or the timer, onto the dress, so that it kind of held a bit of the idea that the official merch had, which was they put the timer onto their merch. So I did that. I also made a blouse and skirt. The blouse is a bit tight now, but I still like it. It looks nice, so yeah. And the skirt as well. Also has the embroidery on the bottom. The blouse has the embroidery on the sleeves. Yeah. And I made a mask, but I don't have the mask with me right now. And I thought that would be it. I thought that's all I'm making in terms of merch, because the timer went out. The mask was actually made about 5 days after the channel ended. But over the course of a few years, I decided I want to make one more piece to just kind of farewell the channel. So I came up with this idea. I wanted to make a very subtle piece, and I thought, why don't I make a coat? I've made a dress, I've made a blouse, I've made a skirt, I made a mask. And what if I made an outer garment? So I made a coat. A full coat. And now I will tell you how I made this coat. So I came up with the idea to make the coat. I wanted to make something subtle. So I thought, why not make a black coat with a white lining? Because Unus Annus colours are black and white. And instead of making it a patchwork type like I did with the other two, I thought, why not make it subtle? And then I could wear it and people wouldn't know unless they saw this, which is what I did. I used a jacket pattern from the Keystone Jacket and Dress Cutter. I will link it in the description below. I made a mock-up first, because you should always make mock-ups. And then, based on prior coat making experience, I've made 2 other coats before. I ordered some fabric. I made a fundraiser on my Ko-fi to raise money to get the fabric for this coat, which worked, and I ended up buying some polar fleece in black because the shops nearby didn't have any wool. I would have loved to make it out of wool fabric, but I didn't have any shops that sold wool. So I went with polar fleece because I looked up and some jackets are made with polar fleece. I will tell you now, I never want to work with polar fleece again. It is so hard to work with. It has a lot of stretch to it, and I could barely trace my pattern pieces onto it because it just wouldn't keep the chalk, which is annoying. But I managed, so I guess that's a good thing. What I did with the coat to make it, I also got some party satin in white from a different shop. I've worked with party satin before, I know how it works. I know it frays a ton. But I also know that it's got a lot of structure to it, so I thought that'd be great for this coat if it had some structure to it so that it would keep in its shape. So onto the process of making this coat. It's got, I think, 8 pieces for the main coat and then 2 pieces for the sleeves and 3 pieces for the collar. I was actually going to put a bit of white binding around the collar, but I decided that would probably be a bit too much. So I left the collar bare. I was also going to embroider the little hourglasses into the collar like I did with the other 2. But you can barely see the seam line of this collar anyway. So the embroidery would have just been swallowed up by the fabric, so I gave up on that idea. I decided, because the fleece had a tendency to stretch and wouldn't keep in its own position, I thought to keep the pieces in their right shapes, I flatlined the coat with the calico that I made the mock-up in. Not just to keep the shape, but also to give it some structure. So every piece was flatlined with the calico, which is okay because you won't exactly see it. No one's going to look inside this coat. And then I sewed the lining separately. I stitched the sleeves separately as well. So I'd sew one half of the sleeve and then I put the binding on it, and then I stitched it closed, which is why the lining is not even. That's fine though, that happens. And then I stitched the lining separately. I put the sleeves into the jacket, and same with the lining side. And then I sewed and put the collar onto the main jacket, then attached the lining to the main jacket and hand stitched the lining sleeves together. You can see it's got some hand sewing there. I just used a simple felled stitch. I don't sew things evenly. It doesn't really matter. No one's going to look at it in depth. I used a buttonhole foot to sew my buttonholes. I made, I think, 8 of them. Yeah. The pockets were sewn by hand as well. I hand stitched the pockets in. I machine sewed the binding onto it, hand embroidered the timer, and then hand sewed the pocket because I didn't want to wrestle this huge heavy thing under my machine. I went to a local cheap store and found these beautiful black buttons, which you can't see. There, these beautiful buttons. And I hand sewed those as well. Overall, I'm really happy with how this coat turned out. It took quite a while to make, but I'm quite proud of it, and I may have gotten a bit too much black fabric, so I've still got about 1 meter of that left, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it because I don't want to work with it again. I might just make it into a blanket. That might work, because I don't have to do much with it if I just make it into a blanket. I'll see. I'll figure it out. I did, however, use some of the spare fabric to make some lovely fingerless gloves, which also have the timer on them, because I thought they're cute. So basically what I did with these was just a couple of rectangles, and then I stitched them together on the sides. Actually, I hemmed them first, and then I stitched them together on the sides, leaving a space for my thumb. And then they're very nicely fitted, and they get really warm. And you just put them on like so. You got fancy fingerless gloves. Yeah, so it's literally just a rectangle, fold it in half, stitch it, leave space for your thumb. Done. Easiest thing possible. I did make some like mock-up gloves out of some more polar fleece just to make sure that it worked, and those ones are actually tighter than these. I had to remake I think it was my right hand glove. Yep, the right hand. That's why it doesn't have the timer on it. I had to remake the right hand one because I made it too tight. So my sister got a free glove out of this endeavor because it was too tight for me. So I gave it to her. So she's lucky. Yeah, I think that's about it. This is the last piece of Unus Annus clothing I'm going to be making, because I can't think of anything else I want to make. I could make a pair of pants, but I've never made pants before. So if you want to see me make some Unus Annus pants, leave a comment below and I will try to find a pattern and make them. I don't know. If you want to see them, put a comment down. I will make them. Sure. Sewing content is a thing I would love to do on this channel as well. Probably not like actually filming the sewing because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to set up the camera to take like 5 minutes of sewing and edit it all together. So I will probably just be doing like this reflection thing and talking about how I made the item. If you want to see that, be sure to subscribe because I am actually currently making what I call the white dress project. If you are familiar with the musical Love Never Dies, you will know there is a dress, a white dress, that is in that musical for a total of 5 songs, and I am currently endeavoring to recreate it. I am almost finished. I just have to put a zipper in and the lace, and then I will make a video about it next month. You might get 2 videos next month actually. It's my birthday next month, so I might also make a little birthday reflection video. You'll see. I don't know. We'll see what I feel like. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. Comment down below if you want to see any more sewing reflections, if you want to hear how I made the dress, or just any other things I might have made. If you follow me on Instagram or Tumblr or something, you would probably see some of the other projects I've made, and if you would like to see a video reflecting on how I made those, leave the item in the comments and I will be sure to make a video about it, because this was fun to just sit and talk about how I made this. Yeah, subscribe if you're new and if you want to stay. I post every month. I will be posting sewing videos, I will post musical essays. I'm trying to figure out what musical to post an essay on next. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. I would love to do a musical that you guys like. If it's a Broadway one, I will listen to the soundtrack and give you an essay about how the soundtrack, like my in-depth look at the soundtrack. If it's a musical that you can find on DVD or on a streaming service, let me know what musical it is. I will watch it. I will write something about it. Possibly that would be more of a review than an essay. But yeah, let me know what musical you would like to hear about. I know it's been a while since the last musical essay, but definitely let me know what musical you'd like to hear about, because those are fun. So I do sewing content, I do musical essays. I will get back to the story readings, which I don't think many people liked, but I enjoyed doing them, so I will most definitely do those again. There was one I wrote before I took a break that I haven't filmed yet, so I would be happy to do that. Yeah, so subscribe, like the video, leave a comment down below of what I should do next month, and I will see you then. Bye!